Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that. Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the new VA form 21-0781. This form is used for mental disorders due to in-service traumatic events. I'm going to break it down to you and I'm going to show you the updated changes. Before we get into today's video, make sure you click the link below and get registered for our new upcoming event, August 13th and 14th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's still seats available. So today's video, the VA has combined the VA form 21-0781 and the VA form 21-0781 alpha. They have combined them. Okay. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to share some updates. I'm going to show you the updates and then share some information with you as it pertains to this particular form and some do's and don'ts if you decide to use it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen. So as we can see, this is the first page of the instructions. Okay. A lot of veterans don't read the instructions. Okay. And you need to. So this form, attachment to the statement in support of claim mental health disorders due to an in-service traumatic event. Okay. Now the old form, the 0781, that was for PTSD. The 0781 alpha was for PTSD due to military sexual trauma, but now they have combined the two. Okay. So as you can see, these are some instructions. And it says when to use this form. Use this form, VA form 21-0781. This is in the first paragraph here. Statement in support of claim mental health disorders due to an in-service traumatic event. In service, not out of service, in service. To provide a statement in support of a claim mental health disorder. PTSD, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder due to an in-service traumatic event to include. Okay. Now they have in service highlighted in bold. They're telling you in service, not a diagnosis that you received 30 years later, unless it was due to a in-service stressor. In-service stressors, they must be confirmed. Okay. So what are some of the three? What are the three here? Combat traumatic event. Okay. They give you a definition of that. Personal traumatic event and other traumatic event. This is why it is important to read these instructions before you complete the form and submit it to the VA. Okay. A lot of veterans, they just jump right to the claim form and they don't go through these instructions. Okay. So now I'm not going to go through all the instructions. I'm going to leave that up to you to go through. All right. It says what form is required. Okay. They're giving you more information there. Evidence that can be used to support your claim. Okay. A lot of people say, hey, the VA is not providing transparency. They're giving it to you here. Okay. So when you think about the traumatic event, think about how you can prove it if you didn't report it. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. All right. So we're going to keep going. If you need assistance, veteran service officer, you already know my opinion on that. This is something that you can do yourself. There's nothing wrong with having a VSO, claims agent, or attorney, but know why you have them. One, if I had to do it again, I would have them, but not to represent me. I need somebody to look at my claim folder ASAP in real time. That's what I would use them for, not to submit a claim. Okay. But if you so choose to use one, that will be up to you. Okay. And then it says general information. Then it says if you are mailing your completed form, send to, that's where you can send it, or you can do a quick submit. I have a video on my channel talking about the quick submit. Okay. Now, this is the first page of the form. Statement in support of claimed mental health disorder due to an in-service traumatic event. All right. Now, I'm going to flip over to the old form. Now, you see that? Statement in support of claim for service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. All right. Now, look at this date right here, June 30th, 2024. Okay. Now let's go back to the new form. What do we have right here? Okay. Expiration date, March 31st, 2027. And you can see the name of the form in between the X's here. Okay. So it's pretty much self explanatory to begin with. All right. Veteran's name, uh, identification information, and stuff like that. Okay. So, section two, what did they change? A circular here. Select the type of in service traumatic event you experienced. Was it combat? Was it personal? Uh, Traumatic event involving military sexual trauma, not involving military sexual trauma, I'm sorry, involving military sexual trauma or other traumatic event. Now let's go back and think about the instructions section. They give you some examples. Okay. So, veterans, stop trying to take a circle and put it in a square. The VA is giving you this information. Okay. Let's keep going. Right here, it says important. It is helpful, but not required to complete all applicable sections of the form. You want to complete all applicable sections. Okay. You don't want to be skipping over anything. Okay. Now, here, this section here where it says examples of brief description of the traumatic event, examples of location, examples of dates, the traumatic event occurred. Where else do we see this? On the VA Form 526EZ, where you're going to list the disabilities, right? So I think they did a good job of updating this form and giving the veteran a little bit more information and instructions on how to complete this form, okay? So it says in 9A, section 9A, that I have underlined, brief description of the traumatic event. 9B, location of the traumatic event. 9C, dates of the traumatic events occurred. Now, let's say you served in combat, right? Afghanistan, um, Kuwait, Saudi, Vietnam, wherever. When I read it, that's the only thing the vet had to put on the 526EZ. I am claiming PTSD due to combat in Vietnam. Please see my attached DD 214, which shows I served in Vietnam. Please schedule me for a CMP exam to obtain a medical opinion and rationale. That's a huge nugget because you can put that in example wording. You can use that if you were in Saudi. You can use that if you're in Afghanistan. You can use it if you were in Southwest Asia. Okay. Or you can use this form, whatever you so choose. I would recommend 526EZ in completing this form. Brief description of traumatic events, injury, and warfare. Okay. I served in Vietnam. I'm sorry. A would be I'm claiming PTSD. Maybe you don't have to put I'm claiming because you're going to put that on the 526EZ. PTSD, 9B, Vietnam, dates. If you have your DD 214 or you know the dates that you were there, simple, right? Same way if you were in Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan. Okay. So I hope you all see where I'm going with this. Let's keep going. More information, traumatic events, additional information associated with the in-service traumatic event. This is a huge change because this was not on the old 0781. And this is where it says complete all boxes if applicable. Now, for my members in my private membership group, this is going to be the next live stream. Okay. And I'm going to have a John Doe form filled out and we're going to go over it in a little bit more detail because we're going to have more time. Okay. Now, I checked each box. Now, don't check the box if it doesn't pertain. So, increase, decrease visits to healthcare professional, counselor, or treatment facility. Now, if you meet all the requirements for all these boxes, check them. But if not, if you leave it blank, come over here to section B, right here at the top where it says additional information about behavior changes. If you do not check that box, come over here to B and put in A, in/A. Okay. So that's what I would do because I don't want to, they say if applicable, complete the box. If not, don't do that. Okay. Because you may have a VA employee that didn't read the instructions of this particular form. Okay. And here's more information. Now, Let's look at pregnancy test around the time of the traumatic event, test for sexually transmitted infections. Now, these two would fall under markers if you did not report the military sexual trauma. That's another nugget. Okay. This is something I talk about in my book. You have stressors and then you have markers, economic or social behavioral changes. Okay. You didn't report it, but somebody noticed that you start going through these things, or if you didn't tell somebody, but you can prove it. Sexually transmitted infections. I've seen a veteran, they went to sick call and they got tested for STD. It came back negative, but they used that as a marker to confirm that, or to concede that it was they were sexually assaulted. Okay. Let's keep going. A lot of good information. Okay. The VA did a good job. VBA did a good job on this form. Okay. It says section 11 was an official report filed. Yes, no. If you check no, if no, skip to item 12. If yes, check the appropriate box below indicating which type of report was filed. Again, this is why it's so important to be educated on the VA claims process, and even more as it pertains to PTSD or any mental health condition that you are claiming and you're completing this form. Okay. Number 12, possible sources of evidence following the traumatic event. Boom. A rape crisis center, a counseling facility or health clinic, family members or roommates. Okay. They can write buddy statements. I just did a video on that. Okay. That's why I always say I got a video for that, Kimball, right? So you want to check whatever box that that you fall under. Personal diaries or journals. If you kept a journal or diary, you want to make a copy of that and send it in with the 526 EZ and this 0781. Let's keep going. Treatment information. Okay, identify you have received treatment. Okay, if you hadn't, no problem. But I just checked here, private healthcare provider, including non-federal records. Now, when you check that box, okay, and you come back down here, well, let's just look at this right quick, where it says, no, VA has access to VAMC, CBOC, and MTF records. A consent form is not needed, okay? Veterans, stop going to My Healthy Vet and printing out all of these documents because they're telling you VBA has access to VAMC records. However, if you would like the VA to attempt to obtain your private provider, excluding community care paid by the VA requires your consent by completing a VA Form 21-4142. Now, if you do that, you just added 6 months onto your claim. So this is why I checked that box where it says private healthcare provider, because then you're going to have to come down here and note, where did you get that treatment? Now, what I put in here, if you know any treatment here, this will prolong your claim as development is required. There's the development, people, the 4142. Okay. That's a nugget. I hope you caught it. If you didn't, go back and watch it. Then you have the remarks. Then you have to sign and submit the form. Okay. Now, I know I went through that pretty fast. The veterans that are in my membership group, we're going to take about 45 minutes. I'm going to complete a John Doe 0781 for you, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about it and do a little Q&A. All right. Read the instruction form, the instruction part of this form before you complete it. Okay. Make sure you read each box. If you have evidence, look at the evidence and examples of evidence in the instruction section of this particular form. Okay. You have to take the time, invest the time to get educated and understand this. Okay. It is not hard. If you skip right to completing this form without the instructions, it's not going to make sense to you. All right. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.